On the night of September 11th, 2001, America was a country in shock. Nearly 3,000 lives had been lost just hours earlier. Two towers had collapsed before the eyes of the world, and the Pentagon had been struck at its very heart. New York City smoldered, emergency sirens wailed into the night, and families clutched photos of the missing, hoping against hope. But as the dust settled, one question echoed louder than all others. Who did this? Within 24 hours, the name Osama bin Laden began to dominate every headline. He was no stranger to U.S. intelligence. Born into one of Saudi Arabia's wealthiest families, bin Laden had used his fortune and influence to fund militant groups across the Middle East. During the 1980s, he fought alongside the Mujahideen against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, where he built his network, Al-Qaeda. By the 1990s, his hatred for the United States was no secret. He had declared America an enemy of Islam, and his network had already been linked to deadly attacks, the 1998 bombings of U.S. embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, and the 2000 bombing of the USS Cole in Yemen. But 9/11 was something different, something bigger, bolder, and far deadlier than anything he had attempted before. As President George W. Bush addressed the nation, he declared the attacks acts of war. America was no longer treating terrorism as isolated crimes. The hunt for Osama bin Laden had become the top priority of the most powerful military on Earth. The world's most wanted man had vanished, and finding him would take nearly a decade. The first step was Afghanistan. U.S. intelligence believed bin Laden was hiding under the protection of the Taliban regime. In October 2001, just weeks after the attacks, the United States launched Operation Enduring Freedom. Airstrikes lit up the Afghan skies. Special forces and CIA operatives entered on the ground, working with Afghan allies. Within months, the Taliban regime collapsed. Cities fell, training camps were destroyed, but Osama bin Laden was still alive, still free, and still orchestrating his network from the shadows. In December 2001, U.S. forces came close. Intelligence suggested bin Laden was holed up in the mountains of Tora Bora near the Pakistan border. American troops and Afghan fighters launched a massive assault. Bombs rained down, caves were searched, and soldiers pushed deep into the rugged terrain. For weeks, they thought they had him cornered. But in the chaos of battle, bin Laden slipped away. Many believe he escaped into Pakistan, disappearing into tribal areas where loyalty to outsiders was thin and mountains provided natural cover. It was a devastating miss. The man responsible for 9/11s had escaped America's grasp. For years afterward, bin Laden became a ghost. He released tapes and messages mocking the West, taunting America, and urging more violence, but no one knew exactly where he was. The CIA poured billions into the search. Satellite images, informants, interrogations, all roads seemed to lead to dead ends. Some believed he was hiding in caves. Others thought he was constantly moving. Rumors swirled that he was sick, even dying, but no proof ever surfaced. Meanwhile, the wars in Afghanistan and later Iraq consumed America's attention, costing thousands more lives. Yet quietly, the hunt never stopped. CIA operatives followed every lead, studying bin Laden's inner circle. They began to focus not just on him, but on the people around him, his couriers. In 2007, a major breakthrough came. A trusted courier known by the nickname Al-Kuwaiti was identified. It took years of surveillance, but eventually his movements led agents to an unusual compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. From the outside, the compound didn't look like much. High walls topped with barbed wire, no phone lines, and trash that was burned instead of collected. It was larger than neighboring homes, oddly secure for a quiet town. And yet, children were seen playing in the yard. Inside, a tall man was spotted pacing during the night. The CIA had a strong suspicion this could be Osama bin Laden's safe house. For months, intelligence teams built their case. No photos, no direct confirmation, but all signs pointed to the same conclusion. In 2011, President Barack Obama made the call: send in the Navy SEALs. Operation Neptune Spear was set in motion. On May 2, 2011, under the cover of darkness, two helicopters carrying SEAL Team 6 flew into Abbottabad. They landed inside the compound and stormed the building. The raid lasted just 40 minutes, but those 40 minutes marked the climax of a decade-long manhunt. In the upper floors of the house, they found him Osama bin Laden. The man who had orchestrated the deadliest terrorist attack on American soil was finally cornered. He was killed and his body taken into U.S. custody. When President Obama addressed the nation that night, his words echoed around the world. Justice has been done. Crowds gathered outside the White House, in Times Square, and at Ground Zero, chanting, cheering, waving flags. For many, it felt like a chapter of history had finally closed. The wounds of 9/11s would never fully heal, but the man responsible was no longer in hiding. Yet the story did not end there. Some hailed it as a victory for justice, others as the end of an era. But questions lingered. Had bin Laden's death made the world safer? Or had the struggle against terrorism only entered a new phase? The wars that began after 9/11s continued, reshaping geopolitics, costing trillions, and leaving legacies still felt today. The hunt for Osama bin Laden was more than just the pursuit of one man. It was the embodiment of a nation's grief, anger, and determination after the darkest day in its history. It was proof that history's most elusive figures could be found, no matter how long it took. And it was a reminder that the consequences of a single-day September 11, 2001 would ripple across the world for decades to come. Osama bin Laden is gone, but the world he helped shape, the wars he set in motion, and the questions his actions left behind still remain. If this story gripped you, share it so others can remember. And if you want more powerful stories of history's mysteries, turning points, and hunts for truth, subscribe and stay with us. Because the past isn't just behind us, it is alive in the world we live in today.